Stations remembered: SAR, Bowmans, Balaklava, and Owen. Bowmans opened 1870, closed 1984. A station at Bowmans was opened on 1st of January 1870 on the narrow gauge Horizon Railway between Port Wakefield and Hoyleton, on what later became part of the SAR Western System. The station was originally called 7 Mile, but acquired the name Bowmans, named after the original pastoralists in the area in 1911. Over the years, the station yard and facilities were enlarged, and with the arrival of the broad gauge from Adelaide in the early 1920s, Bowmans became a junction and transfer station. To help facilitate the station's new role, a timber-clad hip-roof station was built on an island platform in 1923. The broad gauge was progressively extended to Snowtown in 1923 and Red Hill 1925, but didn't reach Port Pirie until 1937. The narrow gauge Western System was converted to broad gauge in 1927, and at the same time, new refreshment rooms were opened on the station platform. The refreshment rooms were modernized in 1939 and 1940. A report into SL operations advised the average number of staff for 1969-71 was 12 employees. By 1973, the station facilities comprised a cattle race with water and trough, side-loading sheep race with a water and trough, pigs water service, and wedding down facilities. A 3 CWT heavy portable ramp for the loading or unloading of sheep, cows, or pigs between road vehicles and stockyards. There was also platform, refreshment rooms, watering facilities, and a crossing loop, and at the Balaklava end of the yard there was a triangle. From the 1930s right through to the 1970s, Bowmans was a busy junction, but it lost its importance once the broad gauge railway from Adelaide to Port Pirie was converted to standard gauge in 1982. As the new line bypassed the station, the refreshment rooms had closed in 1974, and within 10 years the station was redundant. The surviving broad gauge line to Port Wakefield and Pascaville, originally extending to Kadina, Wallaroo, and Munta, closed in 1984, leaving Bowmans without any railway lines at all. The railway was one of the main reasons for the town, and with it gone, a lot of the residents moved away as well. The railway accommodation buildings and land were then sold off by the state government. Although the standard gauge railway bypassed Bowmans, the name was still up to appear on railway maps as a crossing loop was installed on this new line. In March 1998, SI Core Bulk Handling built a bunker facility near the line, although there was no direct rail access at the time. In January 2003, a new 1-kilometer siding was completed, operated by Balco and Patrick Potlink. In August 2003, the Balco-Patrick joint venture officially opened the Bowmans Regional Intermodal Center. Saints, opened 1870, closed 1970. During the SAR era, there were numerous small stations in the country, and by the 1960s, some of them consisted of nothing more than a stopping place with a name board. Saints is an example of a station that at one time had a wooden station building, crossing loop, goods shed, weight bridge, platform, and ramp, but it did not have any livestock handling facilities. Named after John Saint, one of the early pastoralists in the area, it was listed in the mid-1960s as having a platform and ramp and as being unattended. Before the construction of the junction station at Bowmans, it was the main station between Balaklava and Port Wakefield, and in the early days, the ticket office also doubled as the local post office. The station was closed on 1st of November 1970, and a year later, the platform waiting shed and shed siding were demolished. All its removal was included in the demolition tender. The station name board was acquired by the Saint family and re-erected on their property. Today, the same sign is in a new location on the southern side of the railway formation and road at the entrance to the family property. Balaklava, opened 1870, closed 2006. The town of Balaklava was named after a battle that took place in the Bay of Balaklava on the Crimea Peninsula. It is the largest town in the area and had quite an extensive yard for a country station. The station survives, but the railway line hasn't seen any traffic for a number of years. The last trains to use the rail facilities were grain trains, which terminated at Balaklava, and a few special passenger trains, opened in 1870, together with the rest of the narrow gauge Horizon Railway. Only very basic facilities were provided at first. It was the horse changing station on the original railway, and therefore also had stables. On 1st March 1876, the line was extended past Hoyleton and on to Blyth. 2 weeks later, this was followed by locomotives replacing horses between Balaklava and Blyth. By August that year, the whole line was operated by steam locomotives, but the horse stable at Balaklava were not demolished until 1964. On 15 January 1880, the narrow gauge railway line from Hamley Bridge to Balaklava was officially opened for traffic, making Balaklava an important junction station. Tenders were called for the construction of a new ground level station on 1st April 1880, and shortly afterwards for a new goods shed as well. The new station was built of coarse sandstone with brick coins and included residential accommodation. In November 1917, the conversion of the western system between Hamlet Bridge and Munta and Balaklava and Brinkworth, Gardena and Brinkworth from narrow gauge to broad gauge was authorized. Although materials were being accumulated by early 1918, the actual conversion of the lines did occur until much later, with the new broad gauge lines opening for traffic on 1st August 1927. During 1939, refreshment rooms were constructed at Balaklava, replacing those at Brinkworth, which had closed 2 days earlier, and they officially opened on 11th March 1940. They remained in use until March 1972, with the last day of operation being on the 26th, before official closure on 31st. During 1957-58, bulk wheat transportation commenced from Balaklava. Grain was to be the last traffic on the line, not succumbing to road transport until the early 2000s. 1963 saw the removal of the most of the old mill siding crossing railway terrace and the demolition of the overhead water tank for steam locomotives. In 1966, the station facilities included a cattle race, end loading sheep race, water and trough, pig bedding down facilities, 3 CWT having portable ramp for loading and unloading cows, heaps of pigs between road vehicles and the stockyards, a 5-ton yard crane, goods platform and ramp, refreshment rooms, and 85 feet powered turntable. Following an announcement on 9 May 1968 by the Minister of Transport, railway passenger services to Balaklava were cancelled the following year. By 1971, the station staff consisted of just a station master and 5 employees. A report into SAR operations in 1973 recommended the closure of the Hamley Bridge to Balaklava line within 5 years and the sale or demolition of the refreshment rooms. In 1974, tenders were called for the demolition of the station master's residence, which formed part of the station building, and the refreshment rooms, but the railway line to Hamley Bridge remained open. In In July 1977, the station was listed as a junction with a turntable and where trains may cross. On 12 August 1978, the station was closed for the receipt and delivery of goods, leaving grain and true goods services the only traffic on the line. During November 1982, the line came to life again due to the conversion of the Adelaide to Port Pirie via Bowmans line to standard gauge. While standard gauge construction work was underway, trains were rerouted via Hamley Bridge and Balaklava to Bowmans, and then as work progressed, they reversed at Balaklava and traveled to Snowtown via Brinkworth, with the Balaklava to Pascaville line closing on 4 April 1984, followed by the Balaklava to Gladstone line in sections between 1987 and 1989. Grain traffic became the only reason for retaining the link to Adelaide. On 31st October 1987, the station became unattended. Grain trains continued into the 1990s and 2000s, together with a few special passenger trains, but by the end of 2005, the writing was on the wall and services were withdrawn the following year. Fortunately, the station building goods shed and water columns and the track became heritage listed around 1990. In 2017, the local Lions Club started clearing around the turntable and commenced its restoration. By August 2019, work was well advanced with the area completely cleared and the turntable operators cabin reclad. Ridgeway, opened 1925, closed 1962. Opening on 2nd of March 1925, Ridgeway was named after John Ridgeway, who had taken up land in the district in 1859. It was originally a narrow gauge station on the Hamley Bridge to Balaklava line, but in August 1927 it became a broad gauge after the conversion of the Western system. It was listed in the 1958 Goods and Livestock Rates book as just having a platform and a ramp. It closed on 6 August 1962, and then 2 years later the sidings were removed and the ground leveled. Woods, opened 1880, closed 1965. In 1879, with the construction of the railway line to Balaklava underway, local councillor Richard Woods Sr. was instrumental in organizing a petition for a railway station to be constructed for the district. On 15 January 1880, the Hamley Bridge to Balaklava narrow gauge line opened and a station was constructed at Woods. Richard Woods was an early settler in the district, and it was also the name of a nearby sheep run. In 1899, the station was described as having a small wooden station building and a loading point for mallee routes. In 1928, it was an unattended station for milk collection. Woods was listed in the 1958 Goods and Livestock Rates book as just having a platform and a ramp. It was closed on 26th of May 1965, although mail bags were still dropped off and collected after that date. Owen, opened 1880, closed 2006. The siding at Owen took its name from local landholder John Owen. The railway had reached the area in 1880, but it wasn't until 1906 that the stone station building that survived into the early 1980s was constructed. It was a solid structure built from coarse sandstone with a brick waiting room, ark and coins, and with a skillion roof. On 12 November 1906, it became an accounting station and was open for passengers, parcels, goods and livestock traffic. Prior to the conversion of the railway from broad gauge to standard gauge in 1927, the sheep and cattle yards were repositioned and a new siding completed. In November 1927, the station master was classified as Grade 5, but this was changed to Grade 6 in 1947. The late 1950s saw a move away from bad grain, and on 5th December 1957, the first bulk grain silo was constructed at Owen. In 1964, this was followed by a second vertical silo built for barley storage. In 1970, the silo capacity was increased by the building of a concrete vertical extension. In 1980, the silos were listed as at 31,800 tons capacity. In 1966, the station facilities comprised a station building, goods shed, 3-ton crane, platform, and a ramp cattle race with water and trough, and loading sheep race with water and trough, pigs, water service available at the stockyards, and a 3 CWT heavy portable ramp. The station was open on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, half day only for the latter. In 1967, the station master's position was reclassified as grade 7, and by November 1982, the station was only open for parcels traffic on Wednesdays. The station building was demolished on December 1983. On 12th of August 1988, Owen was closed for the receipt and delivery of goods, although grain traffic continued until 2005, after which the line was effectively closed.